Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
And today we're doing something really special. My Hero Academia's manga is coming to an end and we want to give a standalone special video on it.
Now, after 10 years, My Hero Academia is ending. Many fans, including us around the world, have been posting messages, videos, and tributes for the creator, Kohei Horikoshi, and this series. And with the anime not far behind it as well,
oh, it's even worse.
It's time we give our thoughts on the manga as a whole.
Right, and the franchise, might as well say too.
But
before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click notifications on future podcasts and all the pause videos.
Yes, and thank you for joining us, and we hope that you are My Hero Academia fans as well.
Yes.
So this announcement was made on June 24th on the Anime Corner and other outlets. My Hero Academia Manga will end on August 5th after 5 more chapters, which will conclude its run of 10 years since beginning serialization in
2014.
And the author Kohei Horikoshi had previously said he was planning to end it in 2022, but we got lucky and it took a bit longer.
And it got 2 extra years of MHA. So, yes, this was something that people have been dreading for a while. We knew after he said he announced it was coming to an end, we thought, okay, they're going to delay it quite a bit longer. 2 years delay is, I think, pretty good for us.
Now, the worst part for us in America is we only have up to volume 38.
Yes.
And there are how many now?
41. It'll be 41 when the last chapters are collected into one last volume. And it was a little slower for us to even catch up now because there's been a huge delay in getting it translated and shipped here in the States. So we try to stay away from spoilers as much as possible, unfortunately.
Good luck with that.
Right. So we've been reading the manga for years, as much as we could, getting it from the library and then eventually buying the volumes that were coming out because we couldn't wait anymore. And not far before then, we actually started watching the anime first and then the manga.
Thanks to Rascal.
Right. And we've been loving the show and the manga for years since the time we first were introduced to it. And it's had almost 200 episodes now for the series. It's had over 400 chapters. I'm sorry, 300 episodes, right, for the anime.
3 movies.
Three
coming out.
Yeah, and 400 chapters in the manga, 3 movies, and a 4th one on the way. Some 3 video games, I think. A live action thing that I hope they change their minds on now, and stage plays and spin-off mangas and tons of merch. MHA has literally had everything you could imagine connected with it. Stuff you wish that came with it for the comic books.
Yes. And what we're hoping is, even after our favorite is gone, that we'll be able to see a spin-off series based on the Vigilantes.
Yes, that's
manga,
what we're really
which
hoping.
Would be fantastic, because out of all the spin-offs, and we've read them all, this is the only one that seems like a successor, like to All Might with Deku.
Right.
Vigilantes is a successor to My Hero Academia.
Yes.
Because it is the same quality, the same fantastic writing, excitement, storytelling, interesting characters, everything you would want. Like in MHA, you've gotten Vigilantes.
Yes, absolutely. And since the Vigilantes manga has been over for a while, they can do the entire run of the series and not have to stop or make their own ending.
That'll be much shorter because it only went 15 volumes.
Right. So, as for the franchise as a whole, it's something that not just the rest of the world, but us included, really love to get involved in alongside Marvel and DC at the time. It was at the height of its popularity because you had the MCU at the time going really strong with the Marvel films. You had some pretty great DC animated movies and shows coming on at that time as well. And later on, you end up having the inclusion of Invincible from a whole different company. MHA seemed to blend perfectly with being the third option to Marvel and DC. And you can tell Horikoshi was heavily inspired by American comics for years. There's always a reference to Marvel and DC, stuff that's more obscure, stuff that's really popular. He tells you he watches all the movies that come out in Japan or tries to stream it. He is a hardcore superhero nerd. Definitely like Deku.
Yes.
He's even collected every single MHA figure before any other fan does. So there's no bigger fan than the creator.
So what made this manga stand apart from many others? Well, one, and I've said many times, is that it tells an old story in a new way. And it tells it in such a way that it seems like a brand new story.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it, you can see it's a similar story that's being told many times.
Right.
But it's so refreshing and unique characters and his brilliant writing and just Horikoshi as a person, he's just adorable. And you love this universe he's created. And another thing that it did that is so wonderful is it gave anime another superhero franchise.
Yes.
It inspired many others that have come out, including Soul Leveling and Kaiju Number 8 and
Go Loser Ranger. Yes, because you really didn't have many. You had One Punch Man, you had Tiger and Bunny, it's Semi-Flamenco, and Hero Man, and they were so far apart. It was like a rare thing to see a superhero anime. Like every 5 to 10 years, you think you had maybe a superhero anime or manga, and now it's beginning to increase.
And you also had it influence Western writers as well, in a good way, because unfortunately Marvel and DC have began to stand and slack off and push other garbage.
You're making him cry, John.
Here's the sad truth.
You keep on hurting him.
All men are not created equal.
The world is seeing that this is what fans want.
Yeah.
And so now it looks like both houses are making an attempt to get back to what helps make them great. That's what they do.
Right.
So Rascal and I were talking the other day, and I was saying how you have 3 houses that have been influential, for superheroism.
Yeah.
DC, Marvel, and now Kohei Horikoshi, My Hero Academia.
Yes.
He's in high laurels to be put way up there.
Right.
Because he's done for...
You want to pretend to be a hero? You don't stand a chance without a quirk, Deku.
When I was 4 years old, I learned that some kids have more power
and
than
come
others.
up with a system that hadn't been done before in a piece of media. It's like it took the question where it said, well, you can't get paid for being a superhero. That can't be your job, because most of the time they do it here. Majority of the time it's free unless a government sponsors them. Well, what's wonderful at MHA is that they turn the idea of you actually being paid and being a job to be a superhero. And it's not a joke, it's a legitimate field. And he creates a world where superheroes are normalized. Having powers is normalized. It's unnatural for you to not have a power. And becoming a hero is one of the biggest jobs on Earth. And it's like becoming a super celebrity. And it's so normalized that in the first episode, they love how they establish how it is when there's a bunch of people waiting in traffic, and it's because there's a monster fight and they gotta wait for heroes, and some guy's on the phone saying, I'm gonna be late for dinner, there's another kaiju attack, and we're waiting for them to show up. It's so funny how it just perfectly sets up, this is the world you're watching.
Someone's gotta teach that worthless nerd how the world really works. But even so, I'm not gonna give up.
Man is in the same universe as MHA.
Surprisingly, yes.
And Two Vigilantes is a prequel manga. So
Yes.
we see some of the professors, teachers,
Yes, the
students
villains
now,
even, yeah.
who were, at the time they were heroes. We find out a little more backstory on some of the heroes who've gone, including Loud Cloud, which you learn from Vigilantes.
What
You learn
happened,
about
yeah.
the Nobu, how they came into being. And you learn about some heroes that are no longer existing in the MHA.
You're even worse than the rest of these damn rejects, you quirkless wannabe! Is it possible to become a hero even if I don't have a quirk? Opportunity.
Yeah.
A
So,
chance to
what
shine.
is MHA meant to you? Let us know in the comments. What is meant to me is, first thing, I'm really grateful Rascal found it. And it helped to bring us closer in watching more anime together and finding things that we love that were similar.
Yes.
She has her favorite things, I have my favorite things, but this is one of the first things that actually had us come together and start watching a lot of anime at the same time
Right.
that we were doing.
Right.
And it really has
Show
had
what
a
you're really made of.
because I never thought I'd be sitting
There are stories about every hero.
I didn't think he had that kind of strength.
Maybe he was trying to trick all of us.
How they
buying
became
every
great. They're all missing
buying
the
every
point.
movie. You know, I would split the cost.
Right.
And absolutely loving it and having favorite characters. First favorite character started off with Todoroki, and then Deku is my precious.
Right.
And then it just kept adding on and kept adding on and kept
Now all
adding
class
on.
1A.
And now, yes, all class 1As. You love them. It's like the Hashira with Demon Slayer. You think you have your favorite Hashira, and you do. But as you kept getting introduced to each one, you finally end up loving them all. And it's the same for class 1A. And for those of you that
Most
are
have one thing in common.
Right. It's like other ones have done it, so it's nothing different.
And I remember saying to her, the character I think she asked me actually, what character do you think probably represents Horikoshi the most? I said, I'm gonna say Mineta, and she said, how did you know? For all of you that hate him, he's a part of Horikoshi that he acknowledges and puts in his books. And I think quite a few of these characters are probably, and I'm saying that to you, extensions of himself that he's given their own personality and character.
Right.
Especially in the instructors and even a couple of the villains that
Needed
are
to hear.
bad. Like,
Young man,
Yeah.
I think
you
a
too
lot of
can
them
become
are
a hero.
But
Dreams can become reality.
Oh my god. I remember when she saw the only time he took off his mask, and he said, what's wrong with how he looks? I don't know. I guess he's nervous. And I think after some certain things, he might want to keep the mask on.
Oh, no, he's fine. But it's meant just having more joy and excitement and fun. Not only when reading on my own, but watching with Rascal. And then when we used to watch on Toonami, which was great, Toonami Saturday. And all the fans are watching together.
Show who you are.
Such fun.
Embody what it means to be a hero.
By the way, I forgot to mention that this is the story of how I became the world's greatest hero.
Because it was still called Twitter.
Right.
And sharing and just having fun. It created a fandom that, yes, you have a small percentage that are cuckoo. Sorry if you're one. Love you anyway. But the majority just love it for what it is, what it represents, the joy it's brought. And again, the writing and storytelling and everything that it just brings to you. MHA is joy.
Right.
And I'm really grateful for Horikoshi. I'm grateful for Shonen Jump. I'm grateful for Toonami when it aired. I'm grateful for Crunchyroll for having it the entire time it's been out. And I'm just really grateful for the experience that Horikoshi's love of superheroes in the West allowed him to create this wonderful, dynamic, exciting, epic series that we love.
Right. And I think for me, what the show means is, like you said, it's something that really brought people together. Even when DC and Marvel started to change with their movies and their comics and their stories, MHA stayed MHA the entire time. Even when it got dark, even when they focused on the villains for a while, even when you thought someone was gone, even when All Might lost his power, you always had the sense and the message that the heroes were going to win, even when they were brought down to the lowest point, and it wasn't just depressing and dreary and you looked like you didn't want to watch it, you want to be misery. You just knew that there were people that kept fighting. And for me, it also inspired me to create my own superhero series that I want to show to the world one day.
And I can't wait.
Yes.
And on top of that, I would have to say, he gave us this world in which someone who's an underdog, his love and his passion for being the best and wanting to be like the symbol of peace was recognized by the symbol of peace.
Right.
Which doesn't happen in a lot of people's lives, but in Horikoshi's world, it became a thing that happened.
Right.
That someone who he looked at as his best friend, and whom was being influenced by bad boys at the school they were going to, they both learned to be like the brothers that Bakugo has seen them as the whole time, and you get to see them be brothers.
Yes.
At this point, you get to see that there's going to be redemption arcs, not just for Endeavor, but for Gentile Criminal, for Lady Nagant, and for others. And you don't really have that happen in a lot of these stories.
Right, or they just force it in.
Don't get a redemption. You don't get to see their story beforehand. And to see that someone like Deku can see that it's not too late. You still can start over. You still can have a chance. You still can be forgiven. You still can do good. And sincerely mean it. And then to actually get the rest of his classmates to join in with him, especially with Ioma.
You're right, with the reveal, yes.
And you see this happening. And it's not chintzy, syrupy, fake.
Cringe.
Yes. It's beautifully done. So beautifully done that I have cried too many times on the same episode.
And everyone
reading the same stories over and over. I've cried because it's just so beautifully written. It's heartwarming. It's touching. And there's even been spoilers. And if you haven't seen it, sorry. The Dabi gets a redemption arc. And so many of the fans were wanting that for him. And we were stunned that it happened.
Right.
But leave it to Horikoshi to show you that it's never too late when there's love.
Right.
And that is what this entire story for me represents. Love. There's so many different types of love that are reflected in this story.
Yes.
But Deku's story is just one of love.
Right.
For friends, family, the world, heroes, becoming a hero, for good, for second chances.
Right.
Deku is precious. And I've said it from the beginning, he's precious.
Yeah.
He'll always be precious.
Precious Deku.
And just thank you, Horikoshi, for giving us this. Long after this series has ended, long after the anime, I should say, and manga series have ended.
Right. It's going to be
It's not
forever a
going
staple.
away. It's going to be a while before it stops being talked about. It's going to be up there. And for those of you who don't agree, don't at me. One Piece and Naruto.
Yes.
And Bleach.
Yes. And Hunter
now,
Hunter.
Yes. And now Demon Slayer is added into the mix. Don't at me. But yes, it's going to be one of those that's going to be around. And JJK, oh, how dare I forget.
Why, I was say, wait a minute.
That's going to be around for a long time. Not only inspiring others to write and create their own stories, but also in giving them hope and inspiration to be better, to do better, and to never give up. And I think that is the biggest message MHA gives.
Right.
Love and never give up.
Right.
So what has My Hero Academia meant for you? Let us know in the comments below. We know you've read it and or watched it. Share with us what it means for you and why you're going to miss it when it's no longer around.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos for your anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
And if you're watching this and you haven't read it, you really need to. It's one of those must-reads. Get the first volume. Be enthralled. Come back and learn. And thank you so much for subscribing, for watching our videos.
You're making him cry, Kocha!
Here's the sad truth.
If you keep on hurting him,
All men are not created equal.
You are our superheroes.
Yes.
We love you. And we hope you're always inspired by what you watch and you love. Because like MHA, it's about love and never giving up.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching Mask Entertainment.
And I'm on entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace. And go
Beyond
Plus
Plus Ultra!